Annyeonghaseyo! Welcome to Afternoona Delight, where Leah, Megan, and Amy, romance novelists and your K-romance guides. So grab some dekboki and listen to your new favorite unnies.
Hey, everybody.
Hello. Hi there. What's up, everyone?
So I want to figure out how to make this a life lesson, what I want to talk about to start it off.
Before we even start, like we were just talking before we got on here about how you and your son are going to be on your own for a little while your daughters and husband are in Australia, right?
Yeah. So the context is we are all going to Australia for Christmas. Nick and the girls left this week because flights are much cheaper. They have a lot more wiggle room with school. They've got independent study packets, whereas the high school is basically it's a tougher haul for him to leave they're gone for 6 weeks.
Wow.
So yeah. And I mean, they love it there. They're really happy. Bronte's always I'm just gonna live there when I grow up. So I mean, she's dead serious. That's where she's going to college. She's basically F this place. I'm out. I'm moving to Australia.
But my first thought with all that, though, is you and Jara being home on your own. And I feel like that's kind of dangerous.
It is. Yeah. You asked how our trash panda life was going, and that is an apt term for it. So last night, so we get along well because I have given myself permission now to I am taking a break not from parenting. I'm very much in the parenting game, but I am kind of on a little bit of you're not going to be getting a long home cooked meal for me at this in the current era I'm in. We're kind of let's piece it together. If I could have yogurt standing up in the kitchen, that is good for me. But I have Jara here too. So, we're really piecing it together. And last night he kind of came in, he's like, how do I make macaroni and cheese again? And I was like, let me show you. So we boiled some water. He made us mac and cheese. The other night, he's like, how do I make nuggets again in the oven? I'm like, nuggets. How you turn on the oven. Yeah. And then I buy pre-made kale salad. So it's not we're complete trash pandas. But I mean, if Jara wasn't here, it'd be all, I would literally just eat yogurt in the fridge, in the kitchen.
Standing outside the fridge.
Because all I need to eat is yogurt right now. And I would just eat yogurt. I'm on a yogurt until something breaks in me because it's literally the only thing I'm eating.
I would just eat cereal for every meal. It's fortified with vitamins and minerals. It's fine.
I love cereal.
I don't like cereal even a little bit.
I like cereal, but I like kids cereal though. It's not good.
I just don't like milk, which is ironic considering I love yogurt, but it's the milk in the cereal. So, okay, a digression is
yes.
I have trauma from being little because my mom with milk was really fucking crazy. And there's 2 things she did with milk that really messed me up. And one was she would put it in my thermos in the morning and I would have to take it to school. So by the time lunch happened, it was warm.
Stop. So
No.
Obviously.
No, I would have milk trauma then too.
Yeah, and one day she was yelling at me for not wanting to have milk with dinner. And she was like, you drink it at lunch. And I was like, I never drink my milk at lunch. What are you talking about? I just dump it. Big mistake. So she called the lunch lady at school and told them I wasn't allowed to play in the playground at recess unless I drank. I had to show them that my milk was drank. So I'd be having to drink this warm milk.
No.
Dang. And on top of that, it was the cereal because she would buy Frosted Flakes or Lucky Charms. But then it was I would have to, I couldn't eat cereal unless I drank the milk out of the bowl after, which I know some people love. Some people are I love to do that. For me, I didn't. And so I was like, fuck no, I will not eat the cereal and then drink the milk out of the bowl. Hard pass. So I just really hate milk.
Wow. I'm
traumatized from hearing that.
Now I don't want a bowl of cereal. You ruined it for me.
My parents sometimes listen to podcasts. I hope this isn't the one they tune in on.
Everyone is off cereal now.
Yeah. Oh God. But yeah, it was a little Orphan Annie thermos. I can remember it perfectly because I had a little Orphan Annie metal lunchbox in this thermos. Oh, anyway, so we just finished Thanksgiving here in the US last week, and my son flew. So the rest of us, continuing the Trash Panda thread, I had to work for Thanksgiving. And because I'm in this era of not wanting to cook very much, I was like, look, the dorms do Thanksgiving. And like there's one, like they open it up. Apparently it's really good. And since I'm working, look, who knows? Like there could be like exploding toilets. There could be like some sort of like psycho man running around campus. Like I have no idea what could be happening. I think nothing could be happening. But I was like, I don't want to be in the middle of trying to like make yams and all of a sudden like there's bullshit happening. So I was like, we're not going to cook. We're going to eat at the dining hall. And then we're just going to watch movies all day. And it was me, Nick, and the girls. And then Jera flew to Seattle to see his aunties because they wanted to hang out with him. And so he was up with my sisters. Thanksgiving, we're walking up to the dining hall. We're going along campus. I was already a little grumpy because I was kind of tired. So like my friendly family day, my husband was already like, what's wrong with you? I was like, I'm just grumpy. So I'm walking along. My son calls, not me. He calls his dad, which is very telling in this, and informs his father that he has lost his passport flying. Nick relays this to me. And my first question is, why does Jera have his United States passport to fly to Seattle? To which my husband was like, he needed an ID. His student ID would have counted. I did not share that to him in my rage. I shared it to Bronte in her ear as she walked alongside me.
Kids under 16 do not need a picture ID.
He's 16.
Oh, he is 16.
But
okay.
He has a student ID and that would have sufficed.
Okay.
And so anyway, he brought his United States passport on the airplane. And on the way to the airport, we live like you have to drive over this mountain road. And it was really, really bad traffic, apparently, like unusually bad. And then Nick got a flat tire, which like, I don't know the last time we've had a flat tire. So on the way to the airport, he's giving like Jera a lesson on like how to change a tire on traffic on this like 2-lane, like, over the mountain road.
Oh my God.
So they get to the airport. My son's flown, I think, once before. He's flown a lot, but only one other time by himself. My husband literally just opens the door and is like, run, because he's got like no time whatsoever to make the plane. So he's like trying to get through security by himself. He's like in his skater pants. He's got all of his stuff, I guess, like, whatever. So he gets to the plane. He made it into the plane with 90 seconds. He said literally like he got in and they were like shutting the doors. So he kind of just like shoved everything in his pockets and sat down. He shoved his passport into his giant skater pants and he was like, I think it came out in the plane. So he calls and he's like, I don't have my passport. And so all I could think of was like, okay, we're flying to Australia in like a few weeks.
Right.
Yes, you can like expedite passports, but like we're really we're not expediting in like 4 to 6 weeks. We're expediting in like, we need this in like under 2 weeks. And then I was like, plus we've got like the uptick of like everyone's getting their passports right now because of like the new administration that's coming in. So I was like, what the fuck? I was like, am I gonna have to like, I was like, I'm gonna for sure have to be in San Francisco at the passport there. But I'm like, would I have to like fly to like Washington, D.C.? Like, how dire is this gonna be? Mm-hmm. So I'm like kind of like catastrophizing it because I was already tired. And I called Jera and I was not my best self, which is why he talked to his dad, which made me like, I was like, wow, look, because Nick was like, nobody's hurt. And I was like, motherfucker. I was not chill. And Nick was like, I'm going to call the airline. So meanwhile, I'm trying to like contact like the Seattle airport in case he like lost it going to the bathroom. Capitalism. I need to talk about capitalism. So when you call when you go to the lost and found in the Seattle airport, they're like, you can put in a claim and we'll look for it in 4 to 6 weeks. Or you can pay $50 and we'll look for it now.
Oh, no.
Fucker to this too. Like I was just like, fuck sorry, I am just gonna, but I was like, fuck capitalism, fuck this. Like this is ridiculous.
Fuck all y'all.
So I paid the $50, like, fuck it. And at this point I was just like so grumpy. Nick's like, I've put in a thing with the airlines. I'm like, great, because that's always a winning choice.
Right.
So we're at Thanksgiving at the dining hall. I'm at this point just faking it. Like I'm pretending to be fine. And I'm sure I'm a Virgo, like was doing a terrible job of being fine, but like trying. And the phone rings and Nick answers it. It's the airline the same person who he'd been talking to. And it's like, we found the passport. We found it. Would you like us to mail it to your home address? And I was like, oh my God, it's like a Thanksgiving fucking miracle.
That is wild. Remind everybody about Jera's phone on the roof of like the
Jera's the one who lost his phone on the turkey leg.
So Jera lost his phone on a ride at the boardwalk and called me like, Mom, my phone. And he got his phone back and his phone had So what happened was his phone flew out on a ride out of his pocket. He watched it disappear. So he called me beside himself. And I could see in the little blue Find My phone, like I could see the phone pinging. But I'm like, it's giving you a general radius, not like an exact. So I had gotten to where the phone was pinging. And we were standing literally next to this giant razor wire fence where like the roller coaster. I'm like, you probably flew out. It's probably on the other side of like where that roller coaster is. Like, we're pretty effed. But I was like, let's just walk around and like try to use our eyes and look at possibilities. And so I'm giving him this whole thing, like, just look around, just make your eyes like relaxed and just, you never know what you're going to see. And he's like, oh, there's my phone right there. And it was in an awning of a turkey leg stand. And it flowed out and landed like case side down on an awning of a turkey leg stand, to which we had to get the turkey leg people out to help us. A crowd had gathered, like cheering it on, and he got his phone back, and it was at like 85% battery.
And no damage.
No damage.
So Jera needs zippered pockets, or he has to wear leggings. You know what? Punishment? No.
I'm showing him the picture of his passport.
His hair doesn't even fit in the frame of the photo.
No, so much hair that it doesn't fit.
Make him wear leggings on the plane this time. Like, he's got to wear leggings.
I'm carrying the pet, so now it's all on me because we know I have a great track record of never.
Yeah, right. We know where he gets it.
So I feel like
that's why I'm saying you and Jera alone.
Yeah, you two are dangerous.
We're flying to Hawaii together because to go to Australia, I could not find tickets that were going to like be at all reasonable for the time of year. Like they were all going to be like well over 2,000. So for 2 tickets, I was like, fuck no. So I had miles that I've had for like a very long time from when we lived in Hawaii. So I flew us to Hawaii because I found a cheap flight from Hawaii to Melbourne. So I was like, well, if we're flying to Hawaii and I'm saving all this money in airfare, I certainly need to stay there for a few days because that only makes sense. So I booked us into like a backpackers. So we're staying at a backpackers, such a backpackers too. Like a really just like, it's going to
like
be
a youth hostel.
I think that makes it sound like there's like, I think this is like, yes, it's a youth hostel. Just, I feel like connotates order. Whereas like a backpackers connotates like drugs and alcohol. So I'm staying at a backpackers.
Okay.
Like it's like, it has a vibe. It looks like a vibe. And we have a room in it, just like a bunk bed, he and I together. So he and I are going to be in a room with a bunk bed. And it's going to be, we've got 3 days. So I'm excited for it.
All right.
So we're going to have a dirt bag. He hasn't been to Hawaii since he was 2 when he was born. He was born there and we moved. So it'll be fun.
I think that'll be really fun.
I want to see lose anything.
And I'm really going to try not to lose anything.
Oh
I'm not going to try. I am not going to lose anything.
Right. Putting it
Zippered
out there.
pockets, or he has to carry a purse, a man purse. He's got to like,
he needs
pockets are not working, Jera. Okay.
So I'm trying to think of how do I segue this into the drama? You know what? Sometimes things in our life just drift in and out. They can feel unimportant, but sometimes those things are very important.
It's a decent segue.
Segue. Not terrible.
I am very excited to talk about this drama today. I've been waiting for this since I finished watching it and had to be alone with my feelings and had no one to talk to. So I'm very excited we can all 3 talk about it. So yes, we are covering Mr. Plankton today. And Mr. Plankton is a 2024 10-episode Netflix drama starring Do Hwan, EU Mi, and Oh Jung-se. As always, we'll talk about this drama first without spoilers, and we'll give you all a heads up before we move into spoiler town. It was hard to avoid spoilers about this drama as all 10 episodes dropped at once. And we have bingers like me, Megan.
You're like in your healer era, like how you used to watch. Like
this was wild.
Again. Yeah.
This drama had me in chokehold for about 3 days. So I watched it ASAP. So Netflix, which by the way, the Asian wiki blurb is so bad. It's so bad. I'm not even going to read it. If you all want to look, it's bad. Netflix has a very short blurb, as they do. I think they do a pretty decent job usually about the drama. And it is: a man plagued by misfortune and his ex the unluckiest bride-to-be, are forced to accompany one another on the final journey of his life. So, first of all, what...
Tell me up.
I know. We'll talk about that in the spoiler section. So first of all, what was your anticipation level for this drama, and why did you decide to watch it?
I mean, Do Hwan, like I feel like I was so excited to see him as a romantic lead, until I saw that one-line blurb. Final journey of his life triggered me.
I know, right?
Time. Like it triggered me back to my uncontrollably fond experience. So I was very nervous, but I wanted to watch it regardless. And you watch it in like 2 days. I remember being like, what does that last line mean? You're like, do you really want me to tell you? And I said, absolutely not. I'm just going to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was Do Hwan. Like that's why I watched it.
So I did not even read a blurb about it. I wanted to know literally nothing. I knew not one thing. And I was excited because it was Do Hwan doing what I believed was a romance.
So did I, Leah.
I started it and I was like, well, whatever. I mean, they always make it seem a certain way, but like, whatever. This is like how K-drama does it. Like, I didn't think it was going to like crash landing second male lead on me, like out of the gate.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, like I'm in for it. And then within 5 seconds, spoilers were literally everywhere before I could even like look away. And I was like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
And so that was where I started it. I was like in it a little bit. And then I was just like, ugh, no, this isn't what I feel like. And then Megan was like, I love it so much. And then you were watching it and I was like, now I have to watch it too.
Yeah. So
I avoided spoilers. Like I was very careful. I did not want to know.
See, I had avoided even like the blurb. And then I just like turned on my Instagram and it was like, I can't believe blood. I was like,
yeah.
Oh,
that drives me crazy. Like the fact that
give me a chance to zip away.
People, you got to chill. Like really. So one thing I like is, I've talked about Swoon Diaries before on Instagram. She posts non-spoiler reviews, usually in an Instagram reel. It's one of my favorite things she does because she manages to give a good review without spoilers. That's a skill. It truly is. She did it for, I think she did it for Mr. Plankton, and it was a really good one. Again, people, stop posting spoilers.
Yeah,
and do it in the comments either.
Right. I went and saw it because you told me she had a great review, so I went and sought her out. Mm-hmm. After I finished watching and read her review and then commented on it. But yeah, you can review without giving it all away.
Yeah, people. So
or this was if you're making a comment in like our DMs, because I always welcome it. Like, please always DM us, but please don't DM us the spoiler as like the opening.
Like ask, be like, have you finished Mr. Plankton yet?
Correct.
That's a good opening. That's a really good opening. Hey, have you finished Mr. Plankton? I'd love to talk about it.
Yeah, and just kind of assume we haven't. Like that's a good.
Always start by assuming we don't know yet.
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as the news about Mr. Plankton came out, it was my top anticipated drama for 2024. Like hands down my top drama. What I was hoping was it was like Tempted, but a better ending. So this was hard, but which we're gonna get to because we're not talking about. I actually don't hate what happened, but we'll get to that. But yes, this was a top anticipated drama for me, and I will tell you, I watched this as soon as it came out. Like I started it, I think the day it came out. I didn't read the Netflix blurb. I mean, I watched the trailers, but not that much. So pretty much everything was a surprise to me going in. So. Okay, so Mr. Plankton was written by Jo Young and is the follow-up to her very successful drama, It's Okay Not to Be Okay. So without spoilers, do you see any similarities between the two dramas?
Yeah. Other than Oh Jung-se.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in both dramas, we have these characters who have like a very bleak outlook on life go on this big emotional journey and realize their worth.
Mhm.
And I feel like that happened with everybody in this drama, as I also think it happened in It's Okay to Not Be Okay.
I agree. And I also think that this writer really does something that I think is hard to do, which is they balance external and internal conflicts really well. So you get to have, it's not a quiet drama, but it's like still hitting you with like, life ponderings and like the human condition. And I think this writer does that very well.
Yeah, so I didn't know it was the same writer until I think after I watched it. And so first of all, I did see like some criticism from people that were like, I didn't like how it was marketed. It was marketed as a rom-com, which I will say, I don't know if that's fully true. They tell you at the very beginning that he has
no.
Yeah, that he
no. It's not a rom-com.
It's not a rom-com.
It's not a romance. It's really not a romance.
No, it's not a romance.
But
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah. But I will say I don't think it was fully marketed. I mean, I don't know. I understand how you can have beef with that, although even in the trailers they say he has a terminal illness. So I'm not sure. But now that I'm looking back, I'm like, oh my God, I should have known. It's like the same dark humor. Overall the same humor, the same relationships between characters, and not in just absolutely can tell it's the same writer. And I loved it even more. It almost made me appreciate some of the things in Mr. Plankton. This writer also loves symbolism, which I think which we'll get to, was done so well in Mr. Plankton. So much symbolism. But yeah, I hope she writes more. Like, please. I just was surprised that this was her follow. Like, I guess I had thought she'd been writing more. I mean, It's Okay Not to Be Okay was so popular. So I was surprised that this was her next drama.
Well, maybe she's in like the lucky place of doing well enough now that she can have a minute and think through things and breathe and then just go hit to hit as opposed to being in the trenches. I don't
cranking it out. Yeah.
Because I do think this drama was well thought out. She clearly knew what she was doing, and how she wanted the story to go.
I agree with that.
It was great pacing.
It was really good.
Great writing, great pacing. It was very well written.
So we kind of already mentioned this, but do you think it's best to watch Mr. Plankton without knowing any spoilers?
I just don't think at this point in time people are going to be able to, because I feel like it was spoiled.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's the best way to watch it, but you'd have to ignore all of social media.
I'm glad I didn't know. I think like Leah, I would have been super affected if I was spoiled. So first of all, I didn't even know. This is another thing. So this is not a spoiler because it's in the Netflix blurb. His calling her his ex, did not know. So, because in the first episode, they're both in the hospital and he sees her walk by and he follows her. And I was like, this is weird. Like, why of all the women in the hospital is he following her? Well, he's following her because it's his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know that.
Know that. And when it came out, that was like the first shocker for me because I didn't even know that. Like, I knew.
I didn't either. I was able to keep away from that and I was happy.
Yeah. So I do think it's a bummer because I think going into this drama, it would have affected me greatly if I would have known things. And so it's a bummer to me that that was spoiled for you, Leah, because I do think it affected.
Well, I stopped watching it.
I know, and I don't blame you. Mm-hmm. I really don't. I don't.
So I will say this though, and I'm going to get more into it later, because I'm bringing Kevin Costner back to this episode of the podcast.
I love it.
It's so wild, but it's because of the opening scene that triggered my memory of that movie. That as soon as the drama started, I knew how it was going to end. I said that to you, but I'm like, but don't tell me. It didn't change my reaction. We'll talk about it when we get there. I did not get spoiled by social media. I got spoiled by my own ridiculous memory of movies that I saw 30 years ago.
See, I really truly was just like so wrapped up in Do Hwan in this, so wrapped up in his character that I wasn't trying to like guess what was happening. Like I had a few ideas, I guess, but I really didn't spend a lot of time on that. I was just so consumed by him.
Mhm.
I was talking to Sarah from Afternoona Asks, and we both said that it was like someone, probably the writer, watched all of Do Hwan's previous roles and then like put them all together in one role and put him in it. Like this is what it felt like. I saw a lot of his tempted character in it. I saw some of his Joseon attorney character. I even saw some from King, like really took everything that he's good at and put it into one role. And thank you. Whoever decided that.
Right. Very well done, because he was phenomenal.
Yeah. So this is normally the time we break for a K-pop rec of the week before diving into spoilers. But while we do have a K-pop rec, it's tied to the drama, and we're going to get to it later because I've also been really waiting to talk about this song. So we're going to get to spoilers about Mr. Plankton now. We've pretty much already been talking about spoilers anyway. This is really hard to talk about. It's only 10 episodes.
It's a short drama. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a lot to discuss. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first the first 2 episodes are a little chaotic. It's a lot of information thrown at us at once. We learned that Haejo, played by Do Hwan, owns an errand business with Yoo Gi-ho, played by Kim Min-suk, which he is one of my favorite second male leads in Because This Is My First Life. After being hired by a bride to kidnap her at her own wedding so she can screw over her gangster fiancé, Haejo learns he has only a few months to live as his brain is full of blood clot ticking time bombs. I wrote that and I still can't say it. On the other hand, Jo Jamie, played by Iyumi, has just found out that in her late 20s, she's going through early menopause. The problem? She's engaged to the only heir of a powerful family and has only gained her future mother-in-law's approval by lying that she's pregnant. So Haejo and Jamie are both in the hospital at the same time when they get the news, and Haejo witnesses Jamie's breakdown. It's then we learn that they were together for 3 years before breaking up. When Haejo needs to go on a road trip, we'll get to the reasons in a bit. It's a lot at once. He steals Jamie on her wedding day and takes her with him.
Steals her.
Because he does.
He kidnaps her, yeah.
He steals her. He kidnaps her. I mean, he does. I saw someone be like, this drama has Stockholm Syndrome. I'm like, no, it...
they were in love for 3 years.
It's just not Stockholm. Okay, anyway. First of all, let's discuss all the tropes we are given at the start, because it is a lot.
So I feel like I am very open-minded to the runaway bride trope. Sometimes I really like it. Sometimes I don't like it. I think I could have liked it here, but so I'm going to come out and just say now, I like this drama less than both of you.
It's okay.
We know. Yeah.
But there's reasons for it that aren't just because I was spoiled. I think that there is a difference that I feel like this drama has to It's Okay, because I do prefer It's Okay, is I feel like this drama was very chaotic for my personal taste. Like, I just felt like it just had a chaotic energy a lot of the time.
It did.
And I had to push through that energy a lot, especially knowing how it was going to end. And so there were times where I was like, and then like, okay. So, and then some of the other things, like, and these are just personal preferences again. So these are my personal preferences. Another trope we have is a ticking time bomb, kind of your days are numbered. That is not one of my favorites, especially not for a romance.
No.
So that's a huge reason that this did not land as a top fave for me. And then we also have things like, so what happened is kind of like a trope, I'm calling it, which is like you start kind of at the end and then flash back. And as a rule, I just don't really like that either.
Yeah.
Like, none of those, like, so I'm just saying, like, I don't hate them, but I don't really like them.
Yeah, it's just not your
that's
preference.
Not me coming for the drama. It's just that there's like elements that make this a harder sell for me to fully love it. Yeah. And it's just like how I really loved Mr. Queen, and some of the things that happened to Mr. Queen like hit my buttons that made me love it so much. I feel like, and then left YouTube more like, I liked it, but like I didn't go all in. I feel like that's kind of where I landed with Mr. Plankton, was kind of in the same way, where it was like, I didn't dislike it, but I wasn't like, oh my gosh, love it.
Yeah.
I mean, right. We'll get to talking about it not being a romance, but enemies to lovers, second chance romance, like sign me the fuck up. Like those are two of my favorite things, and we have them both right together here. So I was all in.
Yeah. So when I realized it was a second chance romance, I was like, Amy is going to love the second chance romance. And I love a road trip. I've written road trips.
I do too.
Actually, I wrote a whole series that's basically couples, like they hike the Appalachian Trail together. They're on a cruise ship together. They're on a road trip together. Like I literally wrote a whole series like that. So I love road trips. Okay. Love it, love it, love it. I also love Runaway Bride. There's just a lot to this drama that had tropes that I liked. I love a ticking time bomb.
Not this kind of ticking time bomb.
Not this type. I didn't know.
Like a ticking clock. Yes.
But I'm gonna be very honest and shallow in that Do Hwan changed this. If it would have been, I think, anyone else, I would have had more of a problem.
100%.
Like if the ticking time bomb clots are in his brain, then I'll keep watching. Like I don't know how else to explain to you.
I think you would have watched it if it was Ambo Yun too.
Yeah,
because I think he could have played this role as well. Honestly.
That's why I sat through the whole of Uncontrollably Fond, is I needed Kim Woo-bin so badly.
I think Kim Woo-bin could have played this role too. Like there's certain actors who I think have the I think Do Hwan, like I say later, like he does an amazing job, but there's certain actors, but I think to me that like he's elevated now to being like, he is one of those actors that can like do this.
Yeah. Because this role was crazy. So, I mean, as soon as I realized that this was second chance romance, I was very, very excited. So that was that.
Well,
second
chance romance.
Okay, I know.
I'm not.
I know. I might decide to fight about that today. I don't know. I'll see.
Well, no, there's the cardinal rule of romance.
I know, but I'm feeling
sure,
frisky.
You can fight, but it would be like me. You fight, but you know what?
Look, Megan, you know I love this. I love this drama, but it's a love story. It's a love story. It's not a romance.
I'm not denying the love.
No, you're right.
It's a love story.
I just love it so much that I'm willing to
just call it by its name.
It's a love story.
Okay, fine. Okay.
I mean, it just is. God.
No, I know you're right. I know. God damn it.
It doesn't.
Anyway,
it doesn't diminish it in any way.
No, I know it doesn't.
Sunshine is like my favorite drama, and it is a love story.
I know. I think the problem is I have talked about this drama to myself in the shower so many times that I can rationalize anything when it comes to this drama. I don't think you understand. I recorded 30 minutes of me talking about this drama to myself. I have it. I have a 30-minute recording. That's just me.
You should play it as a...
Well, that's our snack for the Patreon.
It's just me blabbing.
Yeah,
yes.
Well, I think I have all the names wrong. So I think I was still crying. Anyway, okay. Let's get into the main characters and discuss their goals, motivations, and conflicts. I think this is a good way to kind of give an overview of what we're looking at. Because obviously, yes, there's an external conflict, as Leah said, but it's driven by all their internal conflicts. That is what is, and it's very much character heavy. So Jamie is an orphan who, as a kid, took on many roles to appeal to couples looking to adopt. But in the end, she was never able to get the family she wanted. She's engaged to Oh Hyung, played by Oh Jung-se, whose family has a long history and deep roots. While they both know she's lying about being pregnant, she hasn't told Hyung, and she hasn't told Hyung the truth that she will likely never give him a child. So, Amy, what's her GMC, and what did we think of her?
Okay. So goal, first, to be a mother, which gets quickly thwarted. We see that in the opening episode. And after that, to just be part of a family. She just wants those roots that she's never had. Motivation, her childhood as an unloved, unpicked orphan. And conflict, Hae-jo kidnapping her on her wedding day, and Jamie still having unresolved feelings for him, and not being able to have children, and lying to her future mother-in-law, lying to her future mother-in-law, who was played amazingly by Kim Hae-suk. Just so many things standing in her way of her getting what she thinks she wants, which is this traditional family.
Mm.
And I loved her character. I love Jamie. I was all for the chaos of this drama. I loved the chaos of her fighting tooth and nail to get away from Haejo, yet knowing that she still had unresolved feelings for him. She had some great emotional boo-boos, but was also strong and took no bullshit when it came to Haejo. And I don't mean like not taking bullshit from him, although that's part of it, but also like when he was too scared to do big emotional things, she got right up in there and did it and helped him do it. And
I like chaotic energy though. I feel like
I do.
Yeah,
I do too. Yeah. And she was also super nurturing and got to utilize like these motherly instincts by being there for Haejo, even when he tried to push her away. That was super, super, that hit me super hard, like towards the end when she was standing out in the rain after he like tried to break up with her again. Cause like he knew that the end was near and she stood out there in the rain, and went to his apartment at his like, now defunct Aaron business because she figured he'd come looking for her eventually. And he did.
Yeah. I loved her too. I thought she was really great. I thought she was, well, we get to it, but her name means fun. That's literally like Jamie means fun. And he says that a lot about her. He's like, I just brought you along because I thought you were fun, because he's not willing to like go any deeper for a very long time. We'll get to him, but she was chaotic. Like that's
I loved it.
When she had like knee pads at her wedding because she knew she was going to be like Neela. Like she was just chaotic. She was a little nutso. And I love that about her. She was anchorless. Like I really do feel like she was kind of her own little flagpole standing there, like because she didn't have the roots that she so craved. I do after talking to Sarah about this, she said from Afternoona Asked, she said she wants Grace to watch it because they want to talk about this drama from a Confucian standpoint, which I think would be extremely interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think that is also a big part of this drama is you're supposed to that's like there's value if you come from a large family and you have deep roots. And so for her to not have that really impacted her worth. So before Haejo was born, his father was diagnosed with cancer. So he froze his sperm before he underwent treatment so that he could still have children. When he and his wife were ready to conceive, they retrieved his sperm and Haejo was born. When Haejo asked for a little sibling, the fertility clinic discovered a mistake. The sperm used to create Haejo was not his father's, but another man's. Haejo's mother sought to keep this a secret, but his father found out. And after Haejo's mother died, which I do think she took her own life.
It was a car accident, but I think she went out and she was going to take him with her. She was going to take him with her. Yes. And he didn't want to go.
You're right. So, but after Haejo's mother died, his father basically ignored his existence from like 6 years old to like 18. It was rough. Yeah, up until the day he graduated high school. So at that point, like abandoned, he wandered the streets homeless until the owner of a gambling house, Bong Suk, played by Lee L, or Goblin in
Lady in Red.
The Lady in Red in Goblin, took him in. So he lived pretty recklessly in his 20s because he was the same as Jamie. He didn't have roots. And his worth was greatly tied into the fact that his father completely abandoned him.
His father, okay, I just want to say this. Can we talk about the soul backpack? Because I feel like the father's hanging a lot on a fucking spur. And I know. I get it. And I get the Confucianism part of it. And not get it culturally, but I get it logically. And I'm just making that as a critique. And I'm making it not as a critique against the drama at all.
I agree with you, though. I agree with you.
No. It's not an arguing point. Like, of course you both agree with me. We're not monsters.
Yeah.
It's just that I think when I think about it, I'm always like, it's like that alchemy of souls.
He was his dad for like 6-7 years. Like
You were there for like the whole thing, and
you can't turn you don't turn that love off.
Yeah, it was just like your one little like jizzle dizzle didn't happen, so that's it. Like really,
Just somebody else's swimmer is still your son.
Yeah, and so I soul backpacked it, being like, "Fuck you, Dad."
Oh,
yeah,
same,
fuck you, Dad,
same
for sure. Well, I mean, Hey Joe's like, yeah, fuck you, Dad. So, I have a friend. I'm not going to say his name to protect his anonymity. But he at one point uploaded his DNA to like, I don't know, 23andMe, one of those sites. And so did his sister. And
they weren't the same.
They weren't the same. And then he started getting contacted by other people who looked like him. And he was very confused and went to his parents and he said, why don't I have the same DNA? This is not my husband, by the way. It's no one in my family. But he went to his parents and he's basically like, what's going on? Like, something is weird. Like, can you just tell me like what happened? And his parents were just like, oh yeah, probably should have told you. Like, thought this might happen one day. So basically, they weren't getting pregnant. And so, they went to a clinic or a hospital. I'm not going to say which hospital it is, but, so the hospital was like, we'll take sample from, your husband and we'll mix it with some other samples and we'll just like see which fertilizes your eggs. We'll just see which works. And she got pregnant. And she had the baby.
We'll never have to know until the kid meddles.
So like they mixed his sperm with random sperm?
That's basically it. And they were like, or we'll just like sample.
That's a thing that happens?
I don't know.
This was in the 80s.
Lied. I bet that they just gave him like a.
I don't know. This was in the 80s.
This sounds like.
I don't think they had like a little.
No, I don't think they had that sperm. I think they were just like, we'll put different ones in there and just see what happens. Like literally, that's what they told them.
Lucky sperm grab bag.
Yeah, basically,
dropping them in, grabbing them by the tail, the little wigglers.
So we're gonna put your husband's sperm in there just so you think it's him.
Yeah, so you think there's a possibility when we know it's not.
Bond with this child because your sperm is so vital. Oh my god.
Yeah. So he was born and they were just like, great. And his dad's just like,
women get eggs all the time from people and then like they get put inside them and they like grow a baby. And it's
like donor eggs and stuff like that.
People are like, fuck that. It's not my baby. Like,
yeah,
they're also not like mix it with my eggs. So I don't know.
and the ping pong game.
And trust me, if you've seen my friend and then you've seen his dad, there's a disconnect. Like I thought this my whole life. It was ever since I met my friend. I'm like, this is really weird. And so his dad they were like, we kind of suspected, but his dad didn't give a shit. His dad's like, you're my son.
Yeah.
Like, you're my son.
Right.
Like, now I guess it's confirmed through DNA, but you're my son. Right. And they actually tried to contact the real dad, and a bunch of his like newfound half brothers and sisters. And the new dad is like, sent like a certified letter that was like, I gave anonymously and I'd prefer it to stay that way. Of course.
Oh my God. So it was just a sperm donor.
If you donate your sperm in the early 80s, you're not
looking to claim your children.
No. And you never
later.
think that there is going to be some website that you can upload your DNA. I mean, that is a wild
And there's
thought.
like 50 children that are like, Papa!
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess my point is like, in no way did I think this was like a far-fetched story. Meaning I felt like relatable a little, even though it didn't happen to me. But I was also like, it's still your kid. Like, he's your kid.
It's the same thing if you adopt. Like,
yes,
it's the same thing.
Like, what the hell? Anyway, I agree. So, okay. Hey Joe lives recklessly in his 20s. But then he's given this terminal diagnosis. They show an MRI of his brain. Is that what it is? An MRI, and it's clear like his brain looks like shit.
Nothing
like
is good happening.
Yeah, there's nothing good happening in that brain.
He's gonna have aneurysm after aneurysm after aneurysm.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be bad. So so because of that, he is a very impulsive character, and he decides he wants to find his real father, the owner of the sperm who created him, and he takes Jamie along with him on his sperm finder road trip. And I kind of love that he brought her because it's a chaotic thing. but they said it like it's believable that Hey Joe is going to just do something crazy like this.
Well,
like,
just do whatever the fuck he wants because he's going to die in
He's
3.
like-
they give him 3 months.
he's like, I don't care. And Jamie, you shouldn't be marrying on like a lie. You shouldn't be, which true, although stealing her from her own wedding was a terrible idea. But, he's like, come with me because you're fun. So I asked myself, what's his GMC and what did we think of him? I did kind of like this because he had the classic hero journey where he's just like living his like everyday life. And then he has like this catalyst that completely like changes the direction, which is learning that he has blood clots in his brain. Like if you read like any sort of plotting book, there's always like the catalyst or whatever. And I kind of just like that it was a very classic hero journey. So his goal is to find his father. And his motivation is I think at the time he wants to belong to someone. I think he thinks that this is his last ditch effort to have a father. I think that's what he believes. But his conflict is that he doesn't have much time before he dies. And he has to track down like 5 different possible fathers because the fertility clinic basically gives him like, it could be any of these 5 dudes. And he's like, oh, great. I got to track down 5 dudes. Like, it's so funny that there's like this, like, because you tick one off one at a time. It's really like classic. So we'll talk about this, but in the end, he never does find the sperm. I actually really like that. Like, I was kind of like, okay, he's going to, because my thought was, as I'm watching this drama, I was like, oh God, he has like 3 more dudes to visit. Damn. Like, how is this going to be 10 episodes? And I like that they just like abandon it. Like, they're just like, fuck it. This is stupid. Like, it doesn't matter who gave me my sperm. Like, I kind of like that was the end result. Also, because he realized that, first of all, he like made his own family. There's obviously a really big found family scene at the end where he's with his like kind of lackey friend. He's with Bong Suk-a. He's with Oh Hyung, has this friendship with now that we'll get to. And Jamie. And so I think all along, he realizes that all along he had this family and that his worth isn't just tied to like a father figure. So I do like that because I like seeing his goals shift throughout. And look, I loved him. I loved that he was a little selfish. I love that he could not confront his feelings for a very long time. I love that it took him a long time to cry. I like that he hid things from people, because the glimpses that you do get of his emotions and the vulnerability he shows were so impactful to me. Like when he gets in a car accident when he's an adult, and the man who gets out of the car is his father, who he hasn't seen for, I guess at this time, probably 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. And just the like, it's like raining, he's bleeding, and just like the raw emotion on his face of having to see his father again, and his father dismiss him as just like another delivery driver was really tough. I really liked that scene. Even though I don't always love flashbacks, I did like the flashbacks in this drama.
So I didn't really do a DMC, so maybe we can do it together. I forgot. Like I just did the what did we think about him and kind of like didn't think
It's
about
okay.
Oh, yeah. For a hug.
Oh Hyung is the only son of a famous Korean chef who has kept him sheltered as he learns the art of traditional medicine. His mother has been searching for the perfect wife for him, but in the end, he falls in love with Jamie, a choice his mother strongly disapproves of. But he won't back down. And in order to get his mother's approval, he and Jamie tell his mother a lie. Jamie is pregnant. But what he doesn't know is that Jamie will likely never get pregnant, which would end his family line. And that obviously is very huge to, he's the only son of this big, important family with deep roots. And he wouldn't be able to carry on the family line, the family name. So yeah,
let's got to what did we think about him and just skip the GMC homework.
It's okay. Well, yeah, I mean, what's his GMC? His goal is to marry Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. And then in the end, he realizes,
He learns to be his own person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, his motivation to marry Jamie, other than love, is I think his motivation is he wants to stand up to his mother.
Yeah.
And going after Jamie is a big part of that.
Yeah. It's like he wants to be his own person, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so
And
he sees this person as like an extension to like do that rather than him taking that responsibility.
Right.
To do it.
I think that absolutely. I think he saw Jamie as like the personification of him getting away from like the oppressive control his mother has on him. I mean, when I say oppressive, I don't like, she's not horrible.
She's like a mother though. And so I think when they talk about like, I think when Grace and Sarah talk about like Confucianism and like, you know, kind of like Asian cultural dynamics, like she is very much seen as like an archetypal mother, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's very specific things she's wanting, which may like for our sensibilities be like off-putting, but like it makes perfect sense in like the context of her world.
Yeah. And I think in the end, she's a really great character because I think she has a lot to learn as well about how she treats him.
She has great growth.
Yeah. Because I think she's a little sheltered too. They live in this like traditional home. And you know, they wear traditional dress and it's just a big contrast to like what Jamie is. And yeah, I do think he loves her, but I think he loves the idea of her more than he loves,
which is
her.
Why he doesn't get the cookie.
Yeah, because I don't think he actually knows.
He doesn't actually love her.
Right.
Let me share what I think about him.
But he doesn't. Well, I just want to say, but that's nothing bad about him because I loved him.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk about him for your turn?
You do it.
So what I think about him is that I love him. So I would say Oh Jung-se has just never let me down with a performance. And I do not have a lot of loyalty and I'm willing to be like, meh, if somebody like, you know, whatever. He just has never, ever, ever let me down. And I feel like I would get this oppa down to his toe socks. Like I am into him. I am into Oh Jung-se.
Yeah.
And I really love his performance. And one thing I like about him is that I feel like he always just transforms like this little chameleon where I always know it's him. Like he's very like distinctive looking and kind of behaving. And what's really fascinating is he can do all of that. And like, I think that's what makes you kind of like a superstar in some ways is like, you're like, oh, like Tom Hanks sometimes does this too. It's like, you are like, yes, you're Tom Hanks, but like, I'll watch it and like, I'll just get sucked into the character. I'm not the whole time being like, yeah, and there's, you know, so with him, I will just start to like believe him as the character, even though I always know it's him, that makes sense.
Yeah. 100%.
I thought his character was very nuanced and I'm just really liking Green Flags right now. And I feel like he was very green flagged.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And so what I think is that like, you know, he kind of just starts with like that stability. Like there's a lot of tradition. There's a lot of rooting. There's a lot of just knowing what's to be expected. He's got the idealized fiance though. And I think that's like it's like this idealized world and this like kind of like perfect structure isn't real. And so kind of what happens to him, I think, is that in the end, we're going to talk about like, you know, Plankton is evident in many places here. And I feel like Plankton is part of him too. And we're going to talk later about Plankton and like the use of the word plankton. I have a huge affinity for Plankton. So this was always going to be a sell to me.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
And so, but I feel like he kind of like embodies that as well. And then I'm not going to he's going to be a second male lead for sure.
Yeah.
And I'll save the rest of what I'm going to talk about for the later because truly this was a part that made it go from probably like an 8 out of 10 for me to my disappointment and wrath making it like a 5. No, like a 6 out of 10.
No, come on.
No, it's true. It is actually true.
I love that.
I am petty on this. I love die on this hill.
I love that this is the source of your wrath. We will get to the source of her wrath. It's coming up.
It's real.
We know. Yeah. No, I
don't think it's unrealized. We've yet to see it because you are going to give us what we want from this.
Yeah. It's waiting.
You know, his character, I felt the same way about his character that I felt about oh my gosh, what's the drama we just watched? No, that you just did a second male lead SOS for. The time travel one. Lovely Runner.
Oh,
yes.
I didn't know if you were talking to me or Leah.
Sorry.
Like you can look at the screen and we don't know who you're talking to.
I know. So the second male lead in Lovely Runner, at first he just felt like an obstacle to me. And then he shifted into being his own character and me absolutely loving him and loving his growth. And I would say a little bit that's how I felt about Oh Jung-se at the beginning. I was like, no, you are just an obstacle to my main ship. But then I slowly began to love Oh Jung-se's character so much that it completely then I was like, this is a 3 lead drama. This is a 3 lead drama. Like there
100%.
is I stand by that. Like,
yeah, for sure.
And he was so good in this role. And I think I do think this role probably was difficult because it could have been jokey. But he played it so well that you grew to really know him well. And I love the ending for his character.
Yeah.
And I think a second male lead with him that Leah gives him would be incredible. Because he was a really special character.
I think for me, he became the standout for me. And that doesn't take away from the main couple, but I think that's the whole thing. I loved him.
He was
I loved
fantastic.
him the best.
Yeah, and that's okay. I'm glad you loved him instead of just being I'm glad that you found enjoyment out of someone that didn't die. Okay, so names play a big part in this drama, as we mentioned. Jamie translates to fun. Hung also translate to fun and excitement. And Heijo, which first of all is a name that Heijo chose for himself after he left home. He originally had, it was Sung, I don't remember it. And for some reason it wasn't on Asian Wiki, so I couldn't find it. But Heijo translates to seaweed. I think Heijo would be another type of word for plankton, maybe in Korean, but it definitely meant to signify his self-worth. It meant to signify that he felt insignificant, that he felt unimportant. His self-worth was so low, and you don't realize that at the beginning. You think he's just kind of reckless. You think he's impulsive, and he is all those things, but he actually thinks he is worth nothing. He truly, truly does. And yeah, so Plankton has a big significance in the drama. So let's get to that, because I got beef with a random commenter on Asian Wiki. So first of all, this Asian Wiki review was very positive about the drama. Okay, so I'm not coming for them hard, but they said this, quote, "The title is weird. Planktons weren't even a strong reference in the drama," end quote.
Hate it.
And to that, I want to say, what the fuck were you watching? What are you?
So Megan just wrote disgust at the end of this.
So bad.
I was filling out the script last night while I was working at my library shift, and Megan texts me. She's like, "I just popped into the script and read your response, and it's just all caps, hard disagree." Because fuck that.
I disagree. Leah, I want to hear about
I like what you wrote.
Yeah. Okay. So my thing with Plankton, because I'm married to a biologist, right?
Right.
And he studies oceans and he studies science. And so the thing about planktons that I think are fascinating are planktons are just kind of known to be these drifters of the sea. They're just these little tiny insignificant things, and they're just moving through the big ocean, right? But the thing is that they are some of the most critically vital parts of the ocean ecosystem. If they weren't there, everything would collapse. You'd have nothing. There would be no life as we know it in the ocean without the plankton. That's how important of a role is that they play. Mm-hmm. It's just that they feel they're very overlooked and downplayed. And even in SpongeBob, there's a plankton character, and he's the one cell, little grumpy character. Right. But I just I don't even like SpongeBob, but I like Plankton. I always just like Plankton. So as soon as I heard it was called Mr. Plankton, that was a huge selling point for me, because I was really curious about it. And I've just always liked this fact that in ocean you've got plankton, then you have the krill, and these are but plankton's below krill is kind of a bedrock. If they were not there, nothing would exist.
Yeah.
And they drift. And I think that's cool too. they're not like on their own agency. Like the tide takes, like there is like an inexorability to like what happens to them because like the surrounding forces. And that's why the writer, I think, is so good. Is you would take something like that really then can lend itself well to a plot. Like the ocean does what the ocean's going to do. Like it's on its own agenda. Like it has the tides. It has its like, you know, it's like these external forces are happening and the plankton happen within it, but they're still just very important, even if they're like completely nameless. And if they didn't exist, like we'd all be the worse for it.
And to say that there wasn't even a strong reference in the drama, he has a whole dream sequence where he says all of that.
I think there's a whole thing.
And his name.
Yes.
Yeah. And they say that's what his name means. They do say that. And you can look it up too. And that scene, so he's sitting with essentially his half sister.
Right.
So, because his father remarried and had a girl with his correct sperm, I guess.
So it's super awesome.
And I think it's interesting because in this dream sequence, they're both wearing jerseys. And I think it's really funny because her jersey says like 139 because that's the sperm number. And his says 137, which was the incorrect.
The wrong one.
Wrong one. So I actually loved, I don't usually like dream sequences, but I loved this one because it was like Heijo like working through things. And I thought it was really funny and symbolic that they had these numbers on the back. Because again, these were like the sperm numbers of the vials. And he's talking about the plankton. And he's kind of, I think he originally had given himself the name Heijo because he thought he meant nothing. And I think that's when he's starting to see his value. And because he talks about how plankton are so important, he talks about how they shine. And I think all of that was so integral into how he felt about himself. Because I think he looked at plankton. I think he started out the drama looking at plankton as worthless, like him. And then in the end, he started to see that like everyone is important. Everyone has worth to someone. And everyone impacts, every people around them. And he matters. And I think that the plankton is literally his whole journey. To say that wasn't an important part of the drama means how can you even say you like the drama? Like you missed the whole point.
Yeah. No, great. I don't know. Like if you, I think that people just think plankton is a weird, but I mean, it just proves the drama's point. Like if you're like plankton, I don't even get it. What is plankton? It doesn't mean it doesn't even matter. It's just plankton. I'm like, yes, that's the whole fucking point.
And like, I also hated the title when I was like, this is so stupid. Why is it called Mr. Plankton? I hate it. And then, so I was one of those people, but then I watched the drama and I'm like, I can't hear plankton without getting teary now.
Plankton for everyone. We're just gonna get little plankton charms.
I want it.
No, I love plankton.
SpongeBob.
Like I have totally changed my outlook on plankton and I knew that they were important. Okay, I did know that, but I still just didn't like plankton. And I think it's because SpongeBob ruined it for me. So, fuck SpongeBob because plankton is important. And I love it when Amy wrote all caps hard disagree. So I'm sorry if I hope you're the person who wrote that on Asian Wiki is listening, but I really do have a beef with you. We'll talk. Okay. DM me.
Just grow.
Yeah. Or watch it again.
Just do better. Do better. That's all we're asking.
Okay. So Heijo's search for his sperm donor. I keep saying sperm donor because that's really it. He actually never really says like, I'm searching for my father. He actually is or he might say that a few times, but I really think he is skeptical a little bit. But yeah, his search is full of humor and heartbreak. He has a list of 5 men who could be his father. And when he finds Ko Jae-gun in a lonely cabin on a mountain, they form a connection, but it's not meant to be. And in the end, Jae-gun takes his vulnerability and exploits it. So what did you think of this whole storyline and the final emotional scene?
I think I was crying from like this final scene through the rest of the drama.
Brutal.
Like it broke my heart because for a couple of days, like he let his guard down.
Yeah.
And started feeling like he had a father. And Jae-gun like was even, can you stay a little longer? I just want to pretend I'm a dad for a little bit longer. Like totally he conned me. Like, I believed it.
Yeah, I was totally conned.
I didn't
and then
actually
he's-
doubt it for a second.
Yeah.
And then he stole all of their money and gambled it away. And when Heijo kicks the shit out of him, and Jamie basically has to stop him from killing him,
Mhm.
that's the first time that Heijo breaks down in front of Jamie. Like, since like they dated and broke up, like, and he just breaks down, bursts into tears, and I was just like, fuck. Like, this drama is going to gut me, because
Right.
that scene gutted me.
Same. He's crying so hard. And I think it's the first time Jamie really saw that. Because there is a previous scene, which I love. I love this scene because they're talking about their two separate situations. About she's saying even potatoes can have babies, and then she's saying even mushrooms on their packaging, they say like where they came from.
Right.
And so she says, I love this line where she says, "A girl no better than a potato, and a boy no better than a mushroom." And she starts like laughing hysterically. And you could tell it's a hysterical laugh. Like, it's off. Like, like, good for Iumi, because that wasn't a real laugh. And he just looks at her and says, you could just cry. Just cry. And she starts sobbing. And she has her back to him, and he's just like patting her. And he's been having like headaches because of his, blood clot brain. And he kind of has like a moment of intense pain in his head, and he hides it from her. So as he's comforting her, he's like experiencing like monumental levels of pain, and is hiding it from her. Then fast forward to when his pseudo dad, who's not a dad, steals all his money, and that's when he finally lets himself just be like, "Oh my God, like this feels fruitless," and he again, like you said, he finally let his guard down, and he almost said he didn't do that with anyone. He never even did that with Jamie. And I think same. Do Hwan crying is always going to get me. That fucker. Like, he's always going to get me. He did the same thing in Tempted, and I knew I was same Amy. I knew then. I was like, this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad.
I don't think I have anything more to enhance that conversation. I mean, yeah,
it was rough.
I just didn't expect it. So that was like a good, like, I often don't, I'm not Amy when I watch things. I'm never like, ooh, I knew that. Like, I rarely do. And so I was still surprised.
I thought they were going to find out he wasn't the dad, and they were just both going to be sad, and it was going to be awkward. And he was going to leave.
I did not.
That's what I thought.
I did not see the betrayal coming. I didn't.
Because this was the point of the drama where I still thought the fifth dad was going to be the one. I thought they were going to go through all the sperm donors. Like, I thought that was where the drama was going, and we were going to see all 5 men. That's what I thought was going to happen. And so in the end, Heijo gives up his search and returns to the man who raised him for some closure. And there he finds his father kept all of his belongings. So his room was the same way it was. He realized one of the reasons he left home in the first place was because his dad didn't come to his graduation day, and he left his diploma on a bench, and just that was basically when he left home. And he finds out that his dad has the diploma. So his dad at one point did go back to the graduation, but too late, Dad. Like, what the
too
fuck?
late.
Like, yeah, it was too late. And then your kid was homeless and had to eat garbage. Way to go, Dad. So yeah, what did you think of the fact? Because this was the point where he knew like death was coming. He was starting to understand.
Like, I thought he was gonna die. Like, I thought he was dying when he left.
Yeah, me too. But this was when he was starting to realize that like the search was stupid. Like, he had a family all along, and I also think he maybe. I'm answering my own question, but I think
go for it.
I think that part of it was maybe he never went back to his father because he didn't know how his father would react, and he wasn't strong enough to handle it. And part of me feels like he finally was strong enough to face his father and deal with however his father reacted. Like, if his father rejected him again, I think Heijo would have been like, okay, this is my closure. I'm done. I'm not looking for a sperm donor. It doesn't matter. I mean, fortunately, his father did accept him. And Heijo chose to be okay with it. And but I really think that was, it said more about Heijo than it did about his father.
Yeah, I mean, his father didn't deserve a big reunion. Like, he didn't deserve a big reunion. Like, Heijo got what he needed out of the situation, and that's all that mattered.
Yeah, I think that there were some things in this drama that were left open to interpretation for us, and it wasn't in a way that frustrated me. I think in this reconciliation scene, I didn't really want dialogue. I didn't really want it. It didn't matter. I didn't care what his dad said. Hey, all I cared about was like Heijo and his closure. So if he was happy and he got closure, I didn't need an explanation. What?
So I would say this is one of my favorite things that happened in the drama. I thought this was just a really good choice. I think I like when everything isn't tied up neatly.
Yeah.
And so for me, it worked to have it wasn't just like fucking doom, because I was kind of like, enough already of like the trauma porn. But like it is, and it kind of fit within what I would imagine a certain type of like man and the masculinity that they embody and like their worldviews. Like it feels realistic to how I could see people behaving.
Yeah.
And Do Hwan's character wasn't hatched out of an egg to be bad with feelings and verbalizing feelings. So you would assume these are self-taught. Like, or these were like enculturated, like, you know, this was part of the legacy he had in growing up and like being disconnected to like voicing things and sharing things. So you still have feelings, but don't necessarily have the language around them. And I like that. And so for me, I felt like I was okay with it not having as much of that reconciliation kind of vibe to it, because I don't know, I felt like that worked. And I felt like it was like a good pain where I felt like it felt authentic enough, but it also just felt sad. I often feel sad for men. And this was just another reason I felt sad for men.
I did. It was like toxic masculinity has ruined many lives. Like, and this was, yeah. Ugh. So there are more things to talk about. But let's get to what you are probably wanting us to discuss the most if you did watch this drama, which is the ending. So Heijo said earlier in the drama that he wants to die alone looking at the sky. But in the end, he doesn't die alone. After weeks of traveling with Jamie, being all cute and coupley, they are playing in the snow. And we all know, because we saw the very first scene of the drama where he's walking in the snow with this outfit on and collapses. But yeah, that's what happens. And instead of looking at the sky, he spends his final moments with a better view, which is Jamie. So what was your reaction to his death? Should we have seen it coming? And was this an appropriate end?
Okay, do I get to give my TED Talk now, my thesis?
Do it.
Okay.
Do it.
So first of all, I watched Uncontrollably Fond, which is a very similar premise. Man diagnosed with a brain tumor at the beginning, reconnects with an old flame, have a romance, and I mean, spoiler if you haven't seen Uncontrollably Fond, but like he has a terminal illness and it is terminal. Okay. So I did not go into this with any rose-colored glasses, but then we get the very first scene of the drama is him lying on his back in the snow saying, I guess this is it. I guess this is how I die. But it's a very sort of like nonchalant way that he's talking to himself. Mm-hmm. So I could see how there would be like that hope there that like, all right, but he's not really. Because then we go back and we see how he got there. But here's where I bring it all back to Kevin Costner again.
I love it. I was dying for Kevin to enter the chat.
Like my wild brain. So I have always been like a cinephile. Like I love movies. I love being at the movie theater. When I was in college as like a drifting, wandering English major, not knowing what the hell I was going to do with that. For a while, I thought I would be like a movie reviewer, like a movie critic.
Oh, you'd be good at that.
Except the reason why I knew I would suck at that is like, I can't watch violence. I can't watch violence. So that would like, I couldn't be like a critic of everything. So that dream came and went. But anyway, I mean, like today, like I had a subscription to Premiere Magazine, which was like a movie magazine. Like it was my thing. It was my personality. So anyway, and I have this like wild recollection of like Hollywood stuff. Like I don't forget actors' names, even if I've never seen them in something, I know who they are and what they're from. And so here's where I bring it all back to Kevin. Again. And I think the writer or director might have been a fan of the movie A Perfect World, because this is where it came from. And when I remembered this scene, I did not remember the name of the movie. I had to like Google, like, what movie started out with Kevin Costner laying in a field and it looks like he's just like sunning himself, but really he's dead. It's called A Perfect World. So a quick blurb for that movie and tell me if you see any parallels. A kidnapped boy strikes up a friendship with his captor, an escaped convict on the run from the law, while the search for him continues. That one blurb right there is pretty much Mr. Plankton, right? So Kevin Costner is Butch, the escaped convict kidnapper, and Philip is the boy. The movie starts out with Butch laying in a field, eyes closed and head raised to the sun. And like I said, looks like he's just, sunning himself in the field. And at the end of the movie, you realize that Butch was actually dead, having just been shot as he was handing Philip off to his mother and the police, who've been like chasing him because he's an escaped convict. He reached for a postcard that he was going to give to Philip, and one of the cops mistook him for reaching for a gun and mortally wounded him. This movie is from 1993. And the one time I saw it in the theater is the one time I saw it.
I don't know how you remember. I would never be able to do that.
But the framework of the opening and closing scene has stuck with me for 30 years. So when Mr. Plankton started, I immediately knew that the opening scene was the final scene and that he was going to be dead. So like 100%. And because of having also watched Uncontrollably Fond, I did not go into this with any hope at all. I just kind of hunkered down and was like, well, here we go. Let's see if it destroys me like Uncontrollably Fond did. And it did worse. But I still think it was an appropriate end, because otherwise the alternative is to go the route of like Queen of Tears, and then it becomes farcical.
So
because
I disagree.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But yeah. So
and I don't disagree that I don't think it should have gone Mr. Tears.
Queen of Tears.
Or Queen of Tears.
Mr. Tears. Mr. Queen of Tears, yeah.
My view on it was I definitely would have been fine without the death, the on-camera death. I think I would have preferred it to have been kind of like left with like a happy for now with that idea, because I felt like it fit with like the Plankton theme of just kind of like, I mean, in the end, we got the like little critter washed up on the shore and like, that's it. But like, I wouldn't have minded it being like, it's drifting and, but you can also like, if you want to have the hardline reality of like, this is it, you could have that. If you wanted to have kind of like maybe something will happen, maybe something won't detonate, maybe they'll have a while, you could have like kind of that fantasy. This just felt like it kind of came, like I felt like there was a lot of subtlety and nuance. So I feel like it wouldn't have been a jarring end to have ended it like that and just kind of had it be something where it was a little bittersweet. The clock is still ticking, but we kind of see them like floating along on their way. And that would have been my preference. I understand
that
why
could have worked. That 100% could have worked. I agree.
I get why they didn't. I'm just saying what I would have liked better. And then if that happened, I would have let Megan call it a romance.
No,
of course.
It's a love story.
Of course. Yeah.
So, first of all, I just want to say I didn't know how it ended at all. So, I mean, I fast forwarded through the credits. I thought there was going to be like an ending credit scene. Like, you don't understand. Like, I'm
so sad for that. I'm so sad for you having hope.
I was gutted, like absolutely fucking gutted. And I was like, I can't believe Do Hwan did this to me. So my first reaction was like just emptiness. And I really went through like a total existential crisis over this. Like, I don't think you guys understand. Like, I literally,
if this was a raw dog, I would have fucking died.
I raw dogged it. And I like I
don't know how you did this on your own because
I couldn't.
Megan had to call me when I finished. I texted her. I'm like, I can't even see to text. And she's like, do you need me to call you? And I said, yes.
Yeah, let's actually talk about that before I get to the rest, because I was at my son's soccer tournament and we were between games. So we were just in a parking lot of like a high school where there's a bunch of fields. And we were waiting in the warm car, and like my son was eating and resting. And so my car was full. Like it was Neil and my two kids. And Amy's like, yeah, I want to talk to you. And I was like, I cannot just sit here and talk to her in the car with like everyone listening. So I get out of the car and I'm like in such a rush. I don't have my coat. It's like 40 degrees. I'm
oh my God.
freezing. Amy sounds like her entire head is full of
I couldn't
mucus.
talk. I was hysterical.
She is so, I almost like felt bad. Like I was like, I did this to her. I made her watch this and I did this to her. She is so, I mean, I've never
bereft.
heard her.
Bereft.
I've never heard her like
bereft.
that.
Yeah.
And I'm freezing. I'm cowering between two marching band trailers to block the wind because I
didn't know you were walking around
freezing.
without your coat.
Yeah. And I'm like waving my arms, talking to her. People probably thought I was fucking crazy, but I needed to be there for her because no one was there for me. And I had an actual meltdown, like for real, for 2 days.
And you didn't know that was happening. So
I had no idea that was happening. I was still holding out hope he was going to live. So but I have like I really, like, you don't understand. Like I talked to myself about this in the shower for like 5 million years because that's how I had to like process. Because my first thought was like, what is the point? He just died. And then I really had to like check myself because it's like, well, that is the point of the drama. Like the point of the drama was that he still has a point even after he dies. Like that was kind of the like, and also we all die and we all still have a point, which duh. And and you know, this is what's frustrating to me because I should have seen it coming. All the clues were there. Looking back, they told us 5 million times that he was.
They told us in the opening scene. They told us in the opening scene.
They told us in the opening scene, and they also gave so many clues. Like he talks at one point. They're sitting in the back of his truck. This is when he and Jamie are together. Like we still got the fun and games with him and Jamie. Like we got to see them happy and in love. Which I have to say, I'm so glad the drama gave that to us because they didn't have to. Well, yeah, they kind of did. But I just mean, I'm really glad that we were able to get that. To me, that was like their HEA. See, to me,
it's not a happily ever after. She just lost the love of her life.
I am like, but it was until death do they part. I don't know. I know. But the point, but anyway, as they're sitting in the back of the truck and he says, you know, he points to the stars and he says,
way to take my metaphor from the next question.
Oh, okay. Then I'll give it, I'll let you have it.
You could.
No, it's fine. Because my point is just there were so many clues that he was going to die and I just didn't want to believe them. But the point was who he affected while he was on the earth and how he was worth something because of the people he affected.
Right. You matter to those people.
You matter to those people and you're going to matter to them when you're gone. Because I think the biggest thing is that he didn't think anyone would give a shit about him when he was gone. That's part of the reason he broke up with Jamie in the first place, because she's like, I want a kid. And he's like, are you kidding me? Like, that is not who I am.
He told her she'd be a terrible mother because he was afraid he'd be a terrible father.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He was projecting because he's an asshole because he was raised by an absent father. Like, I mean, so once
he was raised by 139 when he was actually 137.
Yeah, exactly. So once I kind of like process that, I understand what you're saying. I would say in my mind, this felt like the only logical choice based on the way what the drama was trying to say. The only logical choice was essentially to kill. Because
I agree.
Yeah, because then you're left with, oh my God, he was worth so much. He mattered to so many people, and that's like he is leaving.
And he knew that in his final moment.
Yeah, and in his final moments, he knew he would be missed. He knew he was loved, and starting the drama, he didn't know that. So as hard as it was for me, I didn't feel it was the most important death like I feel like I've seen. Like it was I don't know, it was a little on par with the crash landing on you second male lead death, because that was also kind of the point for him.
Right.
Was he was like, I'm okay with this because someone's going to miss me when I die. Yeah. And, you know, so to watch this drama and see these two people who didn't think they were worth anything and didn't think they had anchors and didn't think they had family to, in the end, have it. I'm going to cry again. I can't.
I know. I told you, I'm like, I don't know how we're going to talk about this.
I can't. I'm serious. I'm okay.
So let's talk about, let's talk about the
that
metaphors.
Journey. Yeah, to watch that journey was beautiful. I'm sorry. It's just,
I agree.
Loved it.
I agree.
So yeah, there was, okay, let's get to it. Yeah, you're right. I can't talk about that. I cannot talk about that anymore. So there was a lot of
crying is good for views.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of symbolism in this drama. And this is also another thing that I really processed after I finished watching it. I think I didn't appreciate it necessarily in the moment, but then looking back. So from Plankton to Starlight to Shoes to Wandering, so you're never lost, as well as the strong themes of found family and more. Yeah, like discuss, I guess, like one of your favorite symbolism.
Yeah, the one that you just brought up. I
didn't say it all.
No. I'm saying that was like a punch you in the face, like symbol of I'm going to die.
I'm going to
And it's when they're having the fun and games at the end, before he dies, and they're sitting in the back of the truck looking at the stars, and he's explaining to Jamie that stars die before we see them because of the way that light travels, that when we see the light of a star, it's usually after the star is dead. And so talking about how they're still beautiful and still shining even after they're gone.
Ugh.
That's hey Joe.
Why didn't I see that coming? Like, Megan, wake the fuck up. Like, how did I watch that scene and be like, oh yeah, he might live? Like, what? Honestly, what was
like? He's having all these revelations, and you're like fast forwarding through the credits for the epilogue.
I'm like, his clots are gonna just vanish.
I feel like my favorite was the Plankton, which I've already I feel like I unpacked that really.
It was really good too.
No, but say what you said, because I feel like you didn't say what you wrote here, though, because I feel like you didn't say specifically that.
Okay, let me go down to it then.
I'm sorry. And I like that.
Not that I had something else.
Oh, yeah, you have. Yeah. It's really good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Take everything else I said. But then, yeah, I feel like what it really does with there was the marine symbolism was heavy in the drama. Mm-hmm. But the idea that you can't change the tide, but you can find someone to float along beside you for a while.
Aw,
stop.
I love it.
Because that's beautiful. And that is actually something I didn't pick up on. See, I like that you have a little bit more biology background and you can pick that out. Because you're right. That's exactly, he knew he wasn't changing the tide of his freaking blood clots, but he was like, I want Jamie with me. And he changed her life in the process too.
And having it be kind of like that quest, because again, a quest for my personal taste is just very rarely my favorite thing. But what I feel like I liked with it was the fact that there was the element of I feel like it was two people drifting kind of together, even though there was because if there was no quest and they were just out, that wouldn't be very satisfying either.
Right.
You had to have something that they were going to do. And so I don't know if this was I accept it. I think it makes logical sense. I just didn't it didn't grab my brain and shake it loose. And I think because of a lot of the things I said, why, but I feel if I was going to talk to this writer, why do you make those choices? I'm I think you made all correct choices. This all played out how it should. And it makes a lot of sense. So I think just the structure of it is very, very good.
Yeah. My favorite, I think, was the shoes. I was really wrapped up in the shoe symbolism. So, and I know that
coming off of It's Okay, That's Love with the strong shoe stuff there.
Oh yeah. Right. I was enough shoes. But, so they've said this a lot in K-drama is the belief that if you give if you give like someone you love shoes, it means they're going to use them to run away from you or something. It's something to that effect. I'm probably bastardizing it, but so I love the idea that, Oh Hwan gives her those beautiful shoes, and they really symbolize something to her. Those shoes, I think they symbolize the future that she wanted, that she was essentially play acting to have.
Mhm.
And when Heijo buys her shoes at the market and they're used, and she takes like really good care of them. And I remember she says something like, when I see something that's thrown away, it makes me want to treasure it more. And I was like, that's Heijo. Like,
no.
oh my God, Jamie. And I think that, the show is called Mr. Plankton. I think the main journey was going to be Heijo's. But I still think Jamie had a wonderful journey.
For sure.
Because at first I was like, oh my God, he is making her fall in love with him again. And he's going
to die. Like, what a horrible human. Yeah.
Yeah. But I sort of got also, I think in the end, that's what she wanted. Like, I think in the end, that also freed her. I also think that gave her a self-worth. I think she no longer felt like she was, her worth was tied to her womb, that her worth was tied to having parents. So I think, yeah,
she got a found family out of it.
Yeah, like she's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I think the ending scene, you know what the ending scene reminded me of a bit was in Cruel Intentions, when Reese Witherspoon is driving away in the convertible after Ryan Felipe dies. That was how I interpreted this one. It was like her just like driving away in his Jeep with like sunglasses on, the wind in her hair, and she's like, I am powerful now because I know my worth and I experience true love, and that is enough for me. Okay. So one of the songs played in the drama is The Town by Junha Park, which is our K-pop rec of the week. Okay. There's not going to be like the little music for this one.
No, we're just talking
about it. So let me say, I listened to this song on repeat after I finished Mr. Plankton because it was the only thing that was, I mean, you understand, I was just listening to the song crying.
Oh, Megan.
You sent me the lyric video and you're like this video's gonna heal you, and I'm like, I'm just crying more.
I know.
This is quite a Pisces drama.
Oh my God. Yes. So yeah, the lyrics did really help me process, and I know Amy, like you did also really like it. So what was it about this song that worked so well for the drama? And you all need to go listen to it, and you need to watch the lyric video.
Yeah, we'll link to it in the show notes.
Will link
the
to
lyric
the
video is amazing.
Yeah.
So when you sent me the lyric video, and I watched it right after, my comment to you when we were texting was, I wonder what came first, the song or the drama, because I've never been so struck by lyrics matching the song. So it's in English, just for, in case you haven't heard it yet. But like the start of the refrain of the chorus, it's because the people are crying all over town, searching for something nobody has found.
Yeah.
Like, come on, come the fuck on. But every single word, like every single word in this song. Yeah. It's one of those like that. It's one of those that will like give me like a visceral, like very physical reaction every time I hear it. Like much like when I hear the Goblin theme.
Yeah.
Like by Heist, like forever. That will always get me. Always.
This song, I honestly, like, I'm going to cry just reading the lyrics. I'm not going to read all the lyrics, but I loved the lyrics because it's written in English, or it's sung in English and written in English. I obviously latched onto the lyrics in a way I often don't when it's a song with Korean lyrics. And they always played this song right when you knew that like a character was going to be vulnerable for a little bit. And the lyric video has a lot of Icarus symbology. Symbology? That's a word, right?
Symbolism.
Icarus symbolism, which also I really, really related to in regards to this drama. So, because he says, what is the meaning of this stupid fight? But we will just keep falling down until we get buried in the ground. And he's talking about what is the meaning of this fight? But we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep trying to fly close to the sun, and we're going to do it over and over and over again until we're dead. Like, that is what we do. And he says, this is probably my favorite, but he says, wonder who will find me when I'm covered in shame. My wings made of envy, they solve every problem with glory, but now I see everything falling apart so fast. And it's just like, but it's also, as if you read all the lyrics, that changes, because he talks a lot about then how he's like stripped of the envy. And I like it because the song feels to me like, I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep, flying close to the sun. Even if I fall, even if it kills me, I'm going to keep doing it. And there's always like a purpose to the fight. Even if it might not look like it, there's always a purpose. And and every fight matters.
It's like what you were saying for the end of the drama. Like, what was the point?
Yeah.
The point is we're just going to keep going.
Yeah. The point is we're going to keep going. And he had a purpose to his fight. He mattered. Oh,
I know.
So I highly recommend watching this. And Junha Park, who sings it, I love his voice. His voice is beautiful. I've been following him. He's done some other OST work, by the way, in previous dramas, but I think this one is really taking off for him. I follow him on Instagram now, and he's been posting about like thanking people for their support and stuff. So I think he's really hitting it off, and he has a couple live performances of The Town as well, which I super recommend. As you can see, I've watched like
yep. It's so
everything.
Good. It's so good.
Okay. And this is
I'm going to step back on this next question.
I know.
Just give it to Leah.
I immediately just leaned in.
I'm really excited. I did not know I had written this question, and I didn't know that Leah felt strongly about it. So I feel like that was telepathic or something. So can we shout out Alex Landy, who played the mostly silent John Na, who was the bodyguard kind of character to Oh Hung? Alex Landy was born in New York to a Korean mother. He played Dr. Nico Kim in Grey's Anatomy and was the series' first gay male surgeon and first surgeon of Asian descent. So yay, Alex Landy. What did you think of John Na? And do you have any theories about his connection to Hung?
Go ahead, Leah.
So I just don't know why nobody sold this to me just with this, because I just do not understand. I was like, does anyone know me at all? But then, like, Amy's like, this didn't even I thought about it. I was like, no, this was like literally like, look, I loved the poetic journey of the leads. I like the thinky. Hooray for that. But I was like, I feel like this was like when I watched Last of the Mohican. This is like my Last of the Mohican. Because there's like Daniel Day-Lewis, right? Like that's the story. Like the story is Daniel Day-Lewis and like Cora.
Yeah.
And I was derailed by Uncas and like the 3-second dappled light on the waterfall as he like looks at Alice. And I like fanfic that like for years. And it happened like there's like 2 seconds of like time with them in the drama. And it's all implied. This literally is like that repeated to me. Like, do you know what I'm talking? You know what I'm talking about? I guess in the last night.
Absolutely, you've talked. I'm fully aware,
though, right? Like this does connect, right? Like you know what I'm talking about. I just need some validation.
Yeah.
So okay. So for me, I think that now I just lost it because I just like got like worked up and then I like moved out of what I was gonna say. Okay. So I did like his name, first of all, just like the Jonna, but when you say it like with like more of like a Korean tone to it, it's kind of like Chona, which is like king. He is.
Oh, I didn't know that.
A king to me, very much. Because this show loves their name plays, like they did. So.
Yes.
I mean, if I got that really wrong, someone tell me. If I was smart, give me a cookie.
No, thank you for pointing that out because I did not get that one. And all the names do have, they mean something.
Because like I think of like watching all my historicals when they're like Chona, like to the king.
Oh, you're right.
And so look, I just think that if this drama had gone to like an Ohang like sexual, like I thought
they teased it. They
teased it.
Yes,
but
they
did. Saying, if we had like the GMC be like, I had my idealized world, my mommy on my back, my plan, this like perfect fiance. And then in the course of finding myself
Right.
a hot fucking bodyguard, I got with him.
I thought it was going to happen. Like
3,000 stars.
I didn't think Hey Joe was going to live, but I did think that when we saw Hung at the end, that he was going to be with John Na.
Too. The fact that they ended up like wimping out and giving us like a fucking bromance, one-sided love, it made me bitter. And I am still bitter about this. Like, yes, the rest of it matters, but like I was very caught up in this being like, holy shit. And like, I just was not, and I was like, oh, don't say you are like taking the risk. Like we are mainstreaming this. John was hot. It was like, you get the Mr. Darcy like hand touch where like, then he's just sitting there with his fucking, like we had a Matthew McFadden hand touch.
Yes, we did.
And he touches, and their visuals are mismatched.
I love it.
So like, John is gorgeous.
Smoking. Yes.
Absolutely insanely
like,
good looking.
Like, oh, say soul, which I'm like, yes. And when we see them have like their hand touch, I was like, my God, like and I was like, oh my God, nobody told me this. Like, is this the thing? And nobody told me this. And then I was like, no, because it fucking is like implied. They dance around it. And then they like, that is my wag of the finger, is if we had had that, and it didn't have to be tied up like a neat little bow. Like we could have been left with like, okay, like who knows where that's going to drift off to. Like I didn't need it to be like they got married or something, but I was like, close the gap. It would have been fucking stellar, and it would have been just like a perfect. And I feel like when I saw that wasn't going to happen, and we were going to have this like potentially even one-sided love bromance, I was like, motherfucker, no, absolutely not.
Yeah. So I'm not disagreeing with you. My only issue is I thought they're brothers. And
Look,
if you're still okay with that, then that's fine.
Look, no, I'm just ignoring. No, I think that's what they tried to like. I feel like that was like the bad choice.
Okay. So you just didn't want that choice. Okay. So I'm just saying, okay. So you're like, I don't want the brother. Okay. I just want to make sure.
I don't want brothers.
Okay. So you're like
stepbrothers, yes. Brothers, no.
Yeah, because
they sold it, and then they kind of like wimped out. And then what I think they even did that was worse is then like went brother, so that we could be like, no, like really no. Like no.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, fuck this.
Okay.
Like, no, just like, I mean, I'm not trying to write queers into the entire, no, I am.
And I am.
Wait, they weren't brothers. They were brothers in the end?
I think that's what it was implied. So I think John was one of the like one of the results of Tung's father's infidelity, and that's why she sent him to America, because
I actually don't think. I think what I think is that they were writing it to be a certain way.
Okay, I missed that.
Like, oh no, we just need to like give enough of a hint that it's this other thing.
Okay,
I just think, to me, it just was like an act of, no, you're not gonna like finger fuck your brother's hand, and later, like I think they were trying to set something up.
Yeah,
and then they were like, no.
Okay, I gotta be honest. I didn't interpret it that way.
You didn't interpret the finger touching as sexual?
No, because the whole time I thought they were brothers. Like that was my original.
Oh, I never did. I shipped them the whole time.
Oh no, I thought they were brothers from the beginning. So I was looking at it as like this like tentative like brother friendship. I'm sorry.
No,
I never did.
It should have, whatever it was. It should have been what I'm saying.
Fair. That's fair. That's totally fair. Fair.
And I feel like, I mean, even bringing him in was such a choice, like this actor in. Like, I feel like it really was a choice.
It was a choice. It was a choice to bring in. He's fully American. Like he does. I don't think he speaks very good Korean.
No, he says like 2 words.
Yeah,
and you can tell
you silent. We're going to keep you silent.
Yeah, and you can tell he's like,
you are the visual. You're the visual.
And you can tell his Korean is very much an American trying to say Korean. He was born in New York.
Yeah,
it was like born in New York. Like he's like, yeah, he's fantastic, by the way. I do want to add.
Freeze him on the bed. Oh, fuck. I am so mad about this.
You're right. Okay, I'm sorry. I totally watched a different thing because I already had a preconceived notion that they were brothers. So like
I hinting at it, but I was just like, no. And then I was like, I'm still like, the verdict's out to me, for sure. But
okay,
it in my mind should have been, it would have fit the drama so well.
Yeah. You're right.
without it,
No,
I was like, look,
right.
you just kind of gave us more of the same. Like we got the same note there. And I was like,
Fair.
give us this. Because his arc, I feel like Oh Jung-se's arc wasn't necessarily to have like more family. His arc was like love and like,
Yes.
finding like the right, and then having like what's going to be the reach you're going to have, that's going to like self-actualize you. Being like, I love a man really would be part of that. I mean, like it really, it just fit everything about who he was, that like the fact that then they were kind of like, we're not going to have this. It's maybe a bromance. Maybe it's a brother thing. It just didn't fit to like what it was like. Okay. Anyway.
Fair. That's a fair rant. I will accept that.
No, Leah, I shipped them together the whole time.
Oh, I don't know. 100%. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm that person who's like, oh, they're just roommates. Like, what was I don't know.
History calls them best friends.
History calls them best friends. That was basically me. That was me. History calls them half brothers. Like, I don't know. Well,
you were very deep on the Do Hwan twin.
I was so deep
in the Oh Jung-se trade.
I think
I've also watched nothing but shipping videos of the two of them on YouTube, so it's only like indoctrinated my madness.
Right. I think I was just so sold on everything else that was happening that I didn't focus on that. And
well, for the curious, go to YouTube because
I will. Like, totally fair. I mean, like, I'm glad that you brought this up. I was the whole time you were saying this though. I was like, I'm pretty sure they were brothers, but I understand what you're saying. You're saying why that didn't need to be.
Yeah, like I'm not 100% sold. I've seen it. Like I've seen enough presentation to be like, look, it's very possible, but I just don't feel. I feel like that's a mistake.
Yeah,
and I
fair.
And it's not overt, so it could be however we want to interpret it. So I ship them. So I'm there with you, Leah.
Yeah.
So was there anything you wanted more of in Mr. Plankton? Anything you wanted explained better, et cetera, et cetera?
No, I think we pretty much like hit on the fact that this was mostly Heijo's journey, right? Like when we get to Heijo and Jamie, because at the end, like her last scene is watching him die, right? Which is horrible. So I think her journey is not complete. Right? Like she still has to figure out where she goes from here, but I think she's on a good path now. Like she thought she always wanted this traditional family, and now she has this found family with, with Bong Suk and Kiho and Oh Hung. Like I think Oh Hung is going to be there for her in whatever capacity she needs him, mostly as a friend. I mean, even like to the extent like, we didn't even get to touch on Heijo, instead of going to find his last father, brings her to her birth mother and gives her birthday. Right. And in that moment, she learns that that's not what she needs. Like, she's like, I'm still going to celebrate my birthday like every month. Like, she doesn't need her real birthday because she doesn't need her real mother because she already has a family.
Yeah.
And so to me, even though that was a devastating scene when her mother recognizes her and still walks away, that was devastating. And then then we have, Heijo like crying in his car so bad that he's drooling and snot coming out of his nose. Like, and I don't know when he picked up Oh Hung. Like, see, that's my only tiny like gripe about the drama is like, when did he pick up Oh Hung?
Oh, I know.
When did that happen?
I know.
But
their
anyway,
bromance.
Yeah. But so I just wanted to like put out there that like there might be people like I haven't gone looking for what anybody has said about the drama yet because I wanted to just talk about it. But I imagine that there are people who might be disappointed that like what Jamie gets at the end of the drama is like the love of her life dies, but I think she gets a lot more.
I agree.
And I picture like, when you see the truck driving, just driving at the end with the song, I feel like that's her keeping on the journey that she started with him.
Yeah. Leah.
No, I agree.
Yeah. And you want more John Na?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I would take an entire spin-off of if they were trying to sell the brother narrative. Oops. We've all seen how sperm is. They do their 23andMe together and realize that's what I'm going to do. They do their 23andMe, realize no relation. Now
there's the lead in for your SOS.
I love
it. I just am ready for like to see, I can ask for whatever I want. And I am ready to see more mainstream. like not have it be like the sidekick to the sidekick. Like,
Right.
you know, I would like to, it would have made this drama so good for me.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sorry.
that's
I'm annoyed by it so much.
I hope we see Alex in more things. I hope more Korean dramas hire him because I thought he was spectacular and he's beautiful. Like I mean,
the fact that he did this whole drama without speaking,
statuesque. I mean, he is perfect. He did it without speaking and wore sunglasses
the whole time.
And was still able to do a pretty good job at getting across what he needed to get across.
Yep.
I mean, when he like was stabbed and then he was like stapling his stomach. I mean,
oh my God.
The ludicrous. I like that they made him this like over the top type character. I liked it. Like there was humor in the development of his character that really endeared him to me.
Yep.
You know? Okay, so did this drama crack your top 10 and any final thoughts? Because we've been talking for a very long time.
I'm not going to do like, I didn't have time today to do like the lowdown of like, what would I knock out of my top 10?
I know, right?
So I'm just going to add it to my top 10.
Right.
Like everything that's in my top 10 and now this one. Yeah, I do. This is a top drama for me because of the feels. Mm-hmm. And I just thought it was so well done, even though I hate having such a beautiful character die. I loved it with all of my heart.
I'd probably put it in like my top 30.
That's
maybe
fair.
Top 25, but not my top 10 for sure. Probably not my top 25. Probably between 25 and 30.
Not bad.
I liked it. I did like it. I think I've given some of the reasons that affected me. Knowing the ending and getting it spoiled really made me dread it. Because look, we are in like the post-Trump election, kind of like this came out on the 8th. So just like, like the election had just ended. I started it, watched like the very, very first scene. I got pulled away to do something, had it spoiled because I thought that scene was like a bait and switch fake out. Found out it wasn't. And then the rest of the time it was just like this. And then like the beginning was chaotic. And I had this very much of a feeling of like sometimes watching it, like I like it. He's amazing. And I kind of feel like I'm taking my medicine. And then it opened up for me and I liked it more. But I feel like I just never could shake the like, I just am not in a, like, I am a mood watcher. And I think that the fact that like, I was not looking for like, this is not Mr. Sunshine, but I was not looking for like my leads to die. Like I just wasn't.
Yeah.
That's just not the journey I'm on at the moment. So I'm not going to say that it's like the drama's fault, but when we're giving our ranking, if I want to be like thinky about it and be like, I will only judge dramas based on like their technical, like like how well they executed, I'd make this much higher. Like, is it technically amazing? And would I say that like the writer did their job and I can say lots that I like about it? Yes. But if I'm just going to say like what my gut feeling is and kind of like how did I feel at the end of it and how did I feel in watching it, I'm going to move it back because of those things. So I want to also like separate that sometimes because sometimes I think when people talk about like a book or a drama or anything, they're like, I felt okay but I'm like, no, like if I'm going to give you, there's like, you could like teach a class with it. Yes. Like there's a lot to unpack. It's good. It's meaty. It's just for where I was in November and like the beginning of December and watching it. I don't think I was like, this could be a rewatch drama where in a year from now, I'm like, fuck, this changed everything. And like, I've now watched it and I love it. I don't know if I will rewatch it again, but maybe I will. Cause I definitely wasn't devastated because I feel like I kind of had dreaded it the whole time that by the end I was like, okay.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense to me. Like, honestly, I think if I were in your position, it had been spoiled for me. And then I like had to watch it all. That would be rough. I don't actually know what I would have done. I
feel like the whole time you're just like,
you're kind of waiting for the shoe to drop and you're like, well, I don't really want the shoe to drop.
Right.
This sucks. No, I don't.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, please don't spoil dramas.
Yeah. No, I know. Please don't.
I totally understand. And I feel I get it. I would say for me, raw dogging this episode, this drama was like a life-changing experience for me. It truly was. Again, I said this on Instagram stories, like this is in my top 10, but don't ask me what's in my top 10 right now.
Right, exactly.
Because my top 10 has like 15 dramas in it. Yeah. But
I just keep adding.
But I feel like, so I kind of like, I don't, and then I'll shut up. But I feel like, so when I watched Mr. Sunshine, I had no idea how it was going to end. And so I raw dogged it. And so in the end, when there was, oh, well, I guess I've just spoiled some of Mr. Sunshine.
Yes, you have.
You didn't say who dies.
Okay. I'm going to spoil some of Mr. Sunshine. If you don't want to hear anything, skip ahead 45 seconds.
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to talk. Okay. So if you had told me that all three male leads are dead.
Yeah.
Like if you told me everyone was dead but her,
yeah,
that would have highly impacted.
Yes.
My
yes. Oh my God, yes.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm like, but not knowing that, I went on the whole journey of experiencing everything. And by the end, I was like,
and
love
it's different,
it's
right?
phenomenal. And so
and
it hit me in the same way because the whole time I'm like never fully in because I'm like, you're just going to fucking die on me. Like, if you told me everyone in Mr. Sunshine was going to die, it would not have been my top favorite drama. Now, in rewatching it, I can still summon up like all the other things if I watch it. But it's just that like, it really does profoundly affect how you like view the material.
Mm-hmm. And I just never for a second thought he was going to live. And I still watched.
Yeah. And
but for me, it was catharsis, right? It was catharsis.
Uncontrollably Fond seemed to have hit such a nerve with you that he died that I was just surprised.
It did. Well, but here's why. It's because of Megan, because Megan's like, this drama has me in a chokehold. I really think we need to do it for the pod. Like everybody's really loving it. And I'm like, you know what? It's 10 episodes. I'm just going to suck it up. I've been through this before. I can get through it again. It fucked me up, but I still loved it. I liked it better than Uncontrollably Fond because I liked the story better. There was much more growth, much more. For me, it was done better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just was so impacted by watching the journey of these characters. It's not like I need to be reminded that everyone has worth. It's not that I don't think I have worth, but I do think we all need to be reminded that we're important and that we impact people and that people will miss us when we're gone. I think that's okay to be reminded, but it was watching the journey of these characters that just, it deeply impacted me. But if I would have been spoiled, I think because I watched it so fast. And then I did have people say to me, I think you guys were like, is there an HEA? And I was like, do you want me to spoil it? But that sucks too. That's really hard because if I don't automatically say yes, you guys are like, oh shit, something's happening.
Right.
So that's hard too. And I do respect people who are just like, I don't want to watch someone die. Like, it's also totally fair. Like, I'm not going to make you, like, I get that you don't want to put yourself through it. Like, that's fair.
Fine to watch people die, I guess. It's just that I think I thought that I was watching I think I thought I was signing up for a romance. So I didn't even have death really fully in my head. And when I saw it, I just figured it was a bait and switch. Because there's so many bait and switches all the time. I mean, boy, this hits. I wish I'd gotten experience at like the Chloe death, where like I was like, he's not gonna die. He's not really gonna die. Wait, he's fucking like I wanted to have that.
Yeah.
That's if I'd watched all of Chloe seeing the second male lead do his business and then knowing the whole time he's gonna get shot in the head, I would have been like,
fuck. I know. I thought the first scene was a bait and switch too. I did. Like I said, I fast forwarded through the credits. I thought there was gonna be an end credit scene. Like in Gyeongseong Creature. Where he's just like, psych. Like
my brain, I just had a headache.
It's okay. I just bled out my ear, but it's all good now. Like like, it's okay. So yeah, I just,
it's a bold choice to open with the actual death.
It is a bold choice. I mean, I do think that there are tons of dramas that I would have enjoyed more or maybe even enjoyed less if I was at a different viewing point. If I knew, like, you always watch a drama, we've said millions of times, differently, depending on your lens, depending on where you are at your life, depending on what's going on in your life at the moment. Like, we're emotional people. And so things hit us differently depending. For some reason that, I think to me, that was a major escape, because again, I didn't know it was going to end, but actually it felt really good to like cry myself into a husk over something fictional. Like that
It's a good catharsis. It really is.
It's also that's touching on the universality of us all. Like we are all going to die. Everyone thinks about their mortality. Everyone thinks like, what mark do I leave?
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone's thinking
We
that.
have gigantic religions built up to try to give people comfort around this unknowable thing. Like, you know.
Yeah. So, I mean, I it's going to impact me for a while. I loved it. Do Hwan I always loved him. I loved him since Tempted. He got me fucked up. I mean, this was just, I can't.
He was fantastic.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what he does next.
And when you're like really hot, it always surprises me when you're really good.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because he's just not resting. He is like acting like the rent is due.
Yeah.
He's acting crying, drooling, snotting, like that scene in the truck when he abandoned her at her birth mother's house. What the fuck?
Yeah. He throws himself into those roles. He was, I mean, to a degree, I forgot I was watching Do Hwan. I was invested in who he was as Ho-jae. That is who.
Hey, Joe.
Oh, Hey, Joe. I'm sorry. Like, I remember when I was watching Joseon Attorney, I did kind of know I was watching Do Hwan the whole time.
Well, mostly, I mean, that's a different drama.
Yeah. It's a totally different drama. And it was like kind of not good.
Yeah.
So I kind of was like fully aware that I'm only watching it for him. And this drama was different.
Yeah.
And Iyumi, she was remember in Squid Game, she had like one scene and she like stole the entire drama. She's so good. And she was also the evil girl.
She was the worst
All of Us Are Dead.
All of Us Are Dead. Yeah.
Yeah. She's fantastic. I love her so much.
No, she's very good and she's very, very versatile because the fact that we don't like hate her.
Yeah.
Is amazing.
From All of Us Are Dead?
Yeah.
Yes.
She like killed someone.
Like, we should hate her. Like that's why I want to see a movie. I want to see another drama with the actress from The Glory to be like, do I still?
Oh God!
I know.
I know.
Right? Because I fucking hate her. I hate her.
Even though she's like lovely. I've seen like interviews.
Yeah, I know.
She's lovely, but yeah, it's like being Joffrey.
Yeah. So true.
My son is watching Game of Thrones right now. He's like, does Joffrey die? He's like, because he's the worst. I'm like, yep.
I've never seen Joffrey.
He's on season 3 right now. He just watched Red Wedding. Yeah, I told him. He knows a lot of stuff already.
Be like, honey, everyone dies.
I'm like, well, I said, don't. He's like, I already know that Catelyn and Rob die. And I'm like, oh my God, Red Wedding. And we're talking and he's like, I just watched it. Yeah. No, I'm like, not only does Joffrey die, but he dies in episode 1 of the season, which is wild.
The better question for Game of Thrones is who doesn't die. That's
right.
The better
who doesn't
question.
die?
Who doesn't die? Because everyone dies in the end.
And I have a ship that didn't happen in Game of Thrones that I will never be over to that I'm bitter about.
I have a lot of ships I'm bitter about with Game of Thrones. That could be a whole nother podcast.
As we close out, I'm sorry, listeners, if you're done on Young, I just want to hear Megan's ship that she wished before we close out. If you're done on Young, to you.
Well, I have a lot of ships.
Just one.
I would say the Hound and Sansa.
Very good.
I was really obsessed with them. Very obsessed.
Same.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
What about Jamie and Brienne?
Yes, that one too.
I feel like that was canon, and then they just fucked it up.
Yeah, don't get me started. I'm so pissed about how they treated Jamie. I could go on the longest rant about, because I don't think that's where George R.R. Martin was taking him based on the books, and so to take him where they did pissed me off. I don't like what they did with Daenerys. I didn't like what they did.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry. I
anyway,
hear that, but I'm so glad you said the Hound because that's what
I think. I think the Hound. I don't think he knew what love was.
No, but
whatever he felt towards her was all-consuming devotion.
It was the dark romance you could write from it.
Yeah,
I'm sure there is.
Because he also kind of hated her because of how she made him feel, and that was the best part.
Dark romance that you could seriously.
He's like, I hate you that you make me have a beating heart.
The opposite of hate or love is not hate; it's indifference. Hate is a big feeling.
Yeah.
It's when you're indifferent. That's the love killer.
That's it. That's love killer.
Okay.
So
On that note, yes, thank you for listening to Mr. Plankton,
A very long podcast.
a very long podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Annyeong.
Annyeong!
감사합니다. Thank you for listening to Afternoona Delight. Where can you find us outside the pod? Head on over to afternoonadelight.com. That's AFTERNOONADELIGHT.com. You'll find links to all our social media, our book recs, K-pop and K-skincare recs, and if you want even more Afternoona Delight, because really who doesn't, you can join our Patreon, where you can choose the patron level that's right for you. Join in daily K-drama conversations, listen to bonus podcast episodes just for patrons, and participate in our monthly live K-drama support group via Zoom. We can't wait for you to be a part of the community. Until next time, annyeong!